It's Ruby Sue bringing some entertainment to you. I missed you guys as always. Good morning, Tracy Duran and Daniel. Yeah, happy Friday. So today is a super special day because I have a very enthusiastic guest, and I personally love enthusiastic people. I know I'm a little subdued on the show, but I can really get nuts. So without further ado, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Don't mind if I do. Allow myself to introduce myself, a little Wayne's World reference. I am Geoff Adler, and it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for agreeing to come on. It's not every day that you're just shopping in a store and some crazy lady says, would you like to be on television? So Geoff and I actually met at one of my favorite local shops, Thrift and Dollar. And we talked and I knew I had to have you on.
We've got to love Thrift and Dollar. Thrift and
Yes.
Dollar is the ultimate store where you can find the most amazing treasures in the world. It's a little fun fact about me.
Yeah.
Something you don't know.
Oh, getting to know you.
Getting to know you. I collect glass. I love colored glass. I love vases. I love bowls. I love...
So, like, is it like Murano or is it like any era, the swung glasses from the mid-century?
I think it's whatever
specifically
appeals
color?
to the eye. I really like, okay, and this is going to date me because I am born in 1971. I really do
Jax.
I like that avocado green.
Oh, it's lovely.
I
I
know.
actually like it. I never understood why in the 90s I saw so much avocado green and harvest green. People were
So
okay.
much
Like,
cooler.
so don't use it then.
Yeah,
Don't-
don't have it. If you don't want to have shag carpeting, don't have shag carpeting. Huh?
Don't
Come on,
use
just
it.
because there's static electricity. I mean, everybody likes high hair. Come on now.
Shocking.
Seriously.
What's
What's your favorite thing? Tell me your number one treasure. What is the one thing you bought at Thrift and Dollar?
At Thrift and Dollar. Oh,
You treasure this. It's your ultimate.
I'm trying to go through the catalog of everything in my house. So some of you know my house is a lot of antiques and vintage. Can we throw that back on you while I think about that for a second?
Oh, sure. I found a very chic 1990s modern full-length mirror. Okay, and this thing is rocking. It has blue sequences everywhere, and it has like a flock of seagulls kind of hair thing going up in the wood, and it's made of this gorgeous pine. I love it. I'm never giving it up. It's my favorite one and done.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I I wish we had a picture of that. We are going to be sharing some pictures later, guys, but oh my gosh, I love that. I do need to see a photo. So, my favorite that I did end up buying for myself and I own is a 1930s waterfall vanity.
Ooh.
Absolutely gorgeous, pristine condition, just had to have it. And I use it. It's in my little dressing room. And then I have a favorite that I did not bring home, and it's one of those that I just kind of regret it to this day. It was one of those rides that you used to see outside of grocery stores. Put the quarter in, and it was a rocket ship.
Oh,
And,
no way.
yeah, I really slept on that one, and I missed out.
You know, there's a place in St. Charles that it's also vintage stuff. And it's really cool, and I can't remember the name specifically of it. And I'm sure at some point we'll figure it out. But they have those kind of things, and they have people that repurpose all sorts of vintage items and turn them into something even cooler, like
Yeah.
old phonographs. And then they'll turn them part. They'll take a lampshade and turn that part into a phonograph, and you can then take your
kidding.
phone and stick it into the back and play music. It's really neat on mosquito.
Okay. Let's circle back to that
Like
phrase.
a mosquito.
Mosquitoes. Summer is the season. I think we're going to be
It is.
discussing some mosquitoes. And I do have a favorite item that I have not yet to acquire from Thrift and Dollar, which is the old apothecary, the old time pharmacy. I have plans for that.
I've seen that in the back, and I love it. It's right by the old fire station. Yep.
Yeah.
I know exactly where it is.
Yep. So, okay, here we are in present day, but on the show, I love to rewind and get to know people a little bit more. Where did you grow up?
So, I'm born and raised in Massachusetts. I know, Massachusetts. A very small town called Sharon. And it's a sleepy lakefront community. And I was very fortunate to grow up in this really beautiful community with wonderful parents and two sisters and just this really nice atmosphere and a really tight-knit community. We had a center of town. One of my most fond memories is my dad and mom taking me to Bendinelli's candy shop up in the center of town. And so you could get penny candies. This was a big deal back then. So, my parents would say, oh, you could pick out 2 pieces of candy. And you'd just walk in and you'd smell that candy. And it was just so overwhelming. And so to this day, I just get nostalgic. I way nostalgic over that particular memory. And especially the lake too, and just always being at the beach and swimming in Lake Massapog. So that was a wonderful memory for me.
That sounds really inspiring. Oh my gosh.
Thank
and
you.
So how were the adults around you? What did you think of them? What did you look at them and think about, like, as far as, this is how they are and this is how I want to be when I grow up?
So all the adults around me were so mature. And I thought to myself, will I ever really be that mature? And to this day, I still think to myself, will I ever be that mature? And the answer is, I don't think so. I don't think I'm ever going to grow up. I'm the Peter Pan. But I did love that community, and I felt safe in my community. And so I wanted to foster that same kind of thing. And I know we're going to get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I became a teacher, I said, I want to foster that same kind of environment for my students. And that's really important to me.
Very good.
And so I'm very fortunate to have been gifted all these great things. And also, if I can throw in a shout out to my grandparents, who are, of course, long since deceased on both sides.
They're watching. It's okay.
Yes. Both sets of grandparents I was very fortunate to have, and even my great-grandparents. And they lived in Dorchester, Mass., which is a little outside of Boston. And at that time, it seemed like they lived in a mansion. I'm sure it wasn't as big as I thought it was, because I was
but
much
I'm sure it
smaller.
was nice.
It was beautiful,
Yeah.
and again, filled with antiques. And so a lot of my inspiration today is based on the color schemes, based on the items, based on those things, and my memories of walking through their house.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Did you have a favorite cartoon? Or a kid's
yes.
show that you watched?
Okay. I don't know, Davy. I like Davy and Goliath. That was like my favorite. I used to wake up
Cool.
super early in the mornings before my parents were even awake, and I'd probably watch the static on television. This is the day when we used to have antennas.
Yeah, the rabbit ears.
Yep. And then wait for the Star Spangled Banner, and then David and Goliath would come on. So I remember that, watching that in Gumby, and
yeah.
I mean, but this is, again, I'm dating myself. Like, for me, Happy Days was the ultimate show. And like, if I could meet one celebrity, it would be Henry Winkler. Like, I
hear
love
he's
him.
amazing. I hear he's a great person.
And P.S. an author. He's an.
We're gonna get to not yet.
I know.
Not
I'm not rushing it. I promise
we
you.
have lots of surprises coming
Yes.
up. Yes.
Oh, God, please tell me Henry Winkler's behind door number 1.
I didn't know enough in advance, or I would have actually tried to arrange it. I promise you, I would have tried.
Oh my God, that'd be so cool. Yeah, he was my favorite inspiration, and so I enjoyed him very, very much. How about yourself? Who was your favorite?
For cartoons?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I loved He-Man.
Okay.
And She-Ra. I wanted to be She-Ra when I grew up. That was one of my goals for a little bit. God, what else? Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, you know what, guys? Gem, strawberry shortcake, Care Bears. I still love all of those things.
Okay,
I
absolutely.
had all the toys. Smurfs a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was a TV kid, so.
Well, same. I think that's what we did, right? We played outside, we watched television, and then
I was just
went
going
to
to
bed.
say, so when I wasn't climbing a tree or like having grand imaginary adventures outside, it was TV.
I was always on my
And I watched
bicycle.
Happy Days a lot too.
Absolutely. And I was always on my bicycle pretending it was a motorcycle and going up and down our street and riding to the center of town and back or around the lake, that sort of thing.
I would go on my bicycle, not at first when I was little, but just like a little bit older. I would disappear for hours, cruise our whole town. I know Tracy Duran can tell us. She's one of our viewers and
Yeah.
friends of the show. She also would disappear and just be off on adventures and
100%.
then come
Looking-
home like,
Looking for treasures and looking for fun.
oh my
Absolutely.
God, yeah. Oh, so much fun to be had. So, as you've mentioned, one of the wonderful things about you is you are a teacher. So how did that come to fruition for you?
So I kind of, if you don't mind me kind of rewinding, I'll be
Sure,
super
please.
brief.
No, we're fine.
And I think I want this to be sort of an inspiration for other students, right? And other kids who perhaps are watching this.
They're always watching.
I was not
yeah.
the ideal student. I
Me
struggled.
either.
I struggled with a learning disability. I just did. Not a great student. I went to college, and they taught me how to learn. And once so I went to Adelphi University in Garden City, New York, and they had a learning disabilities program. And so they taught me how to learn. And once I learned and I got the hang of it, I did very well and I graduated with honors. And so after I graduated with my degree in sociology, I worked for AT&T for a while, and I was a sales guy, feet on the street. AT&T, sponsor in part, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm making that up. I don't know if that's real. Anyway, that aside, I started teaching in my congregation for religious school because there was a need. And so this is going back 18 years, and I learned to love it. And I said, this is really what I want to do. So I went back to school.
Wait, can we rewind that?
Of course.
Congregation for religious school? Tell me about that. That's
So I teach a congregation, Beth Shalom in Naperville. So we're Jewish, so I teach at the synagogue. And I taught third grade for 15 years, and then I've taught seventh grade for 3 years. So I've been there for a total of 18 years. And I loved it. And I said, you know what? I want to go back and teach full time. I want to do this for real. So I went back to school and I got my master's degree at National Louis. Big plug for National Louis. And I got my master's degree. Couldn't find a job. It was really, really hard. I was a long-term sub for a while. And then someone suggested that, why don't you go and get your special ed degree, your LBS 1, Learning Behavior Specialist 1. So I did. So I went back and I got my LBS 1. And I loved it. And I love working with that constituency. Special needs students, every day of the week. I love that crew. So those are my exceptional learners. I call them my crew. It's very good fellas, like, hey, you're part of my crew.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to be part of a crew. And so that's when I started working at Beaupre.
Okay.
Yeah, and right here in East Aurora. And so then I after that, I was just recently, about 3 years ago, I said, you know what? I want to go get my doctorate. And because, and again, if I'm going to rewind back when I was a bad student, and the principal at that particular school said, school's really not meant for you. There's a lot of reading. Maybe you should become a plumber.
I had a lot of people tell me that.
Yeah.
Growing up, I even, at a point, even when I was in my 20s, wanted to go to law school and had people and a family member tell me, well, it's not for you.
You're not college material.
Enough. Yeah.
So P.S., don't let anybody ever tell you what you can or cannot be. You can be whatever you want. Take it from me. So I went and I got my degree. I got my doctorate in educational leadership. And not only did I get my doctorate in educational leadership, and I'm not tooting my horn here for a moment, but
you should.
I graduated with all honors. So it's a 4.0, so Pi Lambda Theta. And that's sort of a prove it to you that I can do whatever I want to do. Wow. So I'm the weed that can't be pulled, right? So every time you think you're going to step on me and break me down, I'm going to come back fighting harder and harder. And I think that's the message, is that if you want it badly enough, you can have it. It doesn't come easy, and it comes with a lot of work. And if I can then sort of migrate into the whole Special Olympics thing, if unless you want to wait, you want to wait?
No, I just wanted to hear about how you got to East first, and then I have a seg into.
Yeah, yes, of course. So and I love East. I love working for East Aurora. It is my heart and soul. I love my constituency. I love the community. I love the students I work with. I love their parents. I really feel embraced by the Hispanic community. I feel Hispanic here in my heart. And though my Espanol is poquito, which we'll get to in a moment, I still try hard to absorb the language and understand the inflections, the tones, the tenses, the idioms, the colloquialisms.
And
communication is really important for me, so that my students feel that I'm trying equally as hard to learn their language as they are mine.
That is really heartwarming to me. And speaking of heartwarming, I want you to now tell us about one of the most heartwarming special projects you were involved with. So
you're referring to my Special Olympics?
Yes, sir.
I moved out here in 1998, and so I started my career at AT&T, but I started working out on the west side at Gold's Gym. And I've always been an avid gym goer, if that's a word. I'm just going to throw the apostrophe ER at the end of gym. And I met a lot of great people, and I became a powerlifter. And powerlifting accompanies 3 different events. Wow. So it's deadlift, bench press, and squat. And I've done very well personally, although I've broken a few things. We can talk about that in another podcast and show you all my scars. But
sure.
One of the things that our district had a need for, because we have a Special Olympics program, was a powerlifting coach. And so I met this great athlete, and this is going back about 4 or 5 years ago. His name is Alex. I'm not going to say his last name, but his name is Alex.
We have an Alex in studio. Maybe it's him.
It could be.
Hi, Alex.
And Alex is absolutely amazing. He is probably one of the most diverse and hardworking students that I've ever worked with. And he does not take no for an answer. And so his first year, he took 3 golds. Last year he took 4 golds. And then this year he took 3 golds and 1 silver in the events. And so he's worked countless hours. And we've had the opportunity to work out together.
Wait,
which is
so
really nice.
I actually know what Alex looks like, don't I?
You do.
Because we have a picture of Alex.
Absolutely.
I just remembered. Can we show the picture? Oh my gosh. So there he is.
That's Alex, and that's him posing in front. This was at State last week in Normal, Illinois.
Oh
and he's worked very, very hard. When I say hours, I mean about 6 to 8 hours a week, every week.
That's
since
way more
last
than I do.
October. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, congratulations, Alex.
Yeah, he's just done really well. I'm super proud of him. And he has aspirations to go internationally with Special Olympics, and then he wants to start competing with the American Powerlifting Federation. So I've highly recommend him.
Stop. That's so cool.
So can I like toot my horn for like 2 seconds?
Yes, please.
So as you know, I don't do anything in small increments. I do everything in massive increments.
Do it big, yeah.
Go big or go home.
Yep.
So the first year, I got him an invitation to Dave Tate's gym of Elite FTS in Ohio, in London, Ohio. The deal with that is Dave Tate is the #1 powerlifter and powerlifting coach in the world. So I reached out to him and I said, I have this athlete. Dave Tate has a son who is autistic. And he said, I'll have you come in and you can work out in my gym with me personally, and I will train him. And so we came in. It's invitation only. It's in a nondescript area in some place in Ohio. You'd never find it if you even tried. And Dave took him under his wing and trained him for literally 3 hours. It was just the kindest and most generous individual.
Wow.
So, I mean, and then Ed Cohen, who is another big name in powerlifting, I reached out to him. And he's an old curmudgeon like me. And he made a video for Alex as well. So I played that for Alex before a competition. I said, this is Ed Cohen reaching out to you. So it was a big deal. So I try to go above and beyond for my athletes. It's not just we're the here and now and we're going to work out today. I want to do bigger. I want to do something really grand, something that's completely unexpected. And that's just kind of the way I am.
Impacting.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's who I am.
Being that type of person, whether you're a teacher or a neighbor or a community member, really makes a difference for people.
100%.
And I encourage everyone to do that. I do want to take a very quick note. Thank you, which this is probably so normalized for you, but thank you for saying is autistic, not has autism. That is, I don't have anything. I am autistic.
Right.
Which I'm not super open about, but there's me coming out, and
Sure.
it's the little things, the little like.
And it's being and I think for other people, it's being understanding of what autism is, and being respectful to other people who do admit that they have autism. Perhaps it's touch, perhaps it's space, perhaps it's the ability to look somebody in the eye.
I had to work on that one.
There's a lot of things.
Years, and people are very serious about eye contact, and so I had to train myself like,
right,
look for this long, look away.
The other thing too is, as a coach, I'm very sensitive to people's social and emotional needs, and especially with Alex, who I adore tremendously. I know he takes things very, very personally. So as a coach, you strategize. If I underestimate his abilities, of course he's going to reach the mark, but he doesn't truly develop his fullest potential. And now I'm underestimating him.
Right.
If I overestimate, then he fails, and that's my responsibility too.
Those setbacks are hard.
And that's very hard because he takes it personally, and now I take it personally. And we had a little situation like that at competition where he was squatting, and we already knew what the opening squat was. It was going to be 250. He hit it, and then normally I would dictate what the next lift would be. But because I had already seen what his potential was, I let him pick within the scope of what I thought was reasonable. But it was a little too much, and he missed that second lift, and he was really disappointed. And it shot his confidence. And then it shot my confidence. And I had to go to Laura, my fiance, and she said, get your stuff together. You're responsible. And I did. And I got my stuff together, and we got the enthusiasm back together. And he hit a PR for deadlift, and he hit a PR for bench, which was really great. So those two things were amazing.
That really is amazing. I mean, I can maybe lift a 10-pound box. So
I'm sure Alex. You underestimate your own abilities.
That's true.
And I got to tell you one other funny story. So there was a really adorable little girl who was also lifting at state, and she was stimming before her lift.
What's her name?
Pardon me?
Or you don't have to say her name.
Well, she's not from this.
like, okay.
Her name was Kathy. So she's not from our district. She's from a different district altogether. And her coach is new to powerlifting. And I said, is it okay if I talk to her? And she says, please, if you would. So, I came up and I maintained proper distance and kept my hands to self. I said, I see you're upset. Can you tell me why? And she said, I'm scared of the weight. And I said, I understand. It is scary. I said, but I saw how you lifted before, and you did really great. I said, what if I kept my distance, but I was a cheerleader, and you could see me cheerleading right in front of you? Would that be okay? And she, of course, vehemently said, yes, I would love that. So I was her cheerleader, and she hit her mark. And then I did it again the second time. This was her third lift, and she hit a PR for 20 pounds over what her coach thought she could do. Wow. So those are the successes, right? That's the altruism. I don't want anything back. I don't care about anything back. I want to see other people succeed. That's what we should all aspire to in life, right? Is giving back to the community.
It's so great to see people really shine.
It is. And
whether they've accomplished a goal or they're talking about their passions. Right. I love it.
Right. Instead of saying, what did I do wrong? How about what did I do right?
Yeah.
How about all the things that you've done right in life? There's so many things that we've done right. Don't reflect back on all the wrong things, unless it's a learning lesson, of course. But what are some of the good things that you can do and you can continue doing? What gifts do you bring to the world that you can then share with someone else and they can share their gift with you? Kind of like what we're doing here, right? Mm-hmm. So thank you. I've talked too much. Go ahead. You talk.
I'm loving this. Oh my gosh. Okay, right. So when we met in Thrift and Dollar,
yes.
We actually started talking because you had, was it a t-shirt or a sweatshirt?
I think it was my sweatshirt. Can I show it?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't Squishy Tries Yoga?
No, we're going to get, it said something on the back, like a little,
I don't remember which one.
Oh my God.
Oh, I know. It was, kind of fit, kind of fat.
Yeah, it was kind of fit, kind of fat. And my husband and I just cracked up. So you guys turned around and then you struck up a convo.
And kind of fit, kind of fat, it's self-deprecating. We love it. And it puts everybody at ease. It makes everybody chuckle. My brand is called Strong and Squishy. It's people like, what's strong and squishy? I'm like, it's me. Sometimes I'm strong, sometimes I'm squishy. Depends on how much I've eaten at the buffet.
Speaking of strong and squishy, you then said that you were an author.
I was, and I am.
And this is Squishy Tries Yoga.
Indeed.
So tell us about Squishy Tries Yoga.
So Squishy Tries Yoga is my first book, and it's dedicated after a student of mine in the who's no longer in the elementary school, who's now in the middle school. And I'm not going to say his name because just to keep everyone anonymous and protected. But every day he would run up to me and he'd grab my legs and he'd say, "You strong and you squishy." And so he'd grab my legs, he'd be hugging me and say, and trying to get to elicit a response out of me, and then I would pout and I'd go, I'm not squishy. Am I squishy? And then he would laugh, and of course I'd pat my belly. I'm like, I'm not squishy. And then he'd run away. And he did it every day. And so I started thinking about this Jell-O, and who wears a Jell-O mold on her head. And what's her hardest issue? She can't put on yoga pants because she has no hips.
Oh.
Because she's squishy. But what it tells you is, love yourself for who you are in your space today. And it doesn't matter who you are. Again, you bring gifts to the world. It's not about what you look like on the outside. It's who you are on the inside. It's about your enthusiasm and gusto and passion and empathy for the world, right?
Oh my gosh. So empathy is so important.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
What's the hardest thing that she had to do? She's, I can't touch my toes, but I can touch my nose. Does that count? That sort of thing. And it's super cute.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah, so there she is. That's squishy.
That struggle is real, Squishy.
It is. The struggle is real.
Oh.
And so this is two of the books that I've written so far. I have a third one that's going to be coming out soon. I have to find an illustrator that wants to take on this project. It's a big project, but we'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm like, wait. Let's cover this one now.
Of course. So Paquito the Mosquito is a truly bilingual book that has both English and Spanish incorporated, because I work in a bilingual district. And it's really important for our students to be able to value having two languages and balance those two.
Oh My gosh, and I think I've got a couple of cute pictures, a close-up of the book.
And so as you look even into the book,
Paquito.
one of the things that you'll see at the very, very back
And then,
is a glossary.
and there's
There is
Paquito.
Paquito. Please
Oh
don't
my
swat him
gosh.
with a fly swatter.
Love it.
Yeah. And we have a glossary in the back.
Is.
So
Okay. Delicioso.
yeah, so this way
En
people,
serio.
so students can come back and they can take a look if they don't know the words. And
Oh, here's a word I don't know. Tejana.
Tejana, right, for
Cowboy
hats.
hats.
Absolutely. And so I'm very fortunate to work with an amazing staff of people who are truly bilingual. So my colleagues, Juancita and Ellie Vasquez, and even our behavior specialist's daughter, Amani Meeks, helped design the original Poquito.
Oh my gosh.
And I have to make sure that I pay homage to all the people that have contributed to this.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I did not create this in a bubble. No.
Okay.
This was created with help from other people. And I think it's
village.
important to acknowledge them because we work as a community. And no one person can take the success of something. It usually happens by a whole group of people who support. And even my own parents, who I acknowledge here, without all the foundation that they laid for me growing up as a child, would not be able to be where
that's
I
so
am today.
special.
And so to honor my parents, to honor my grandparents, even my great-grandparents and lineage, I think giving back is through education is probably the best form of charity that I can think of.
I love that. And where can people find the books? if
So
they wanna
right
find
now,
these?
Yellowbird Books has one copy. I'm waiting for their approval.
I'll shout out to Yellowbird Books.
Yellowbird
we
Books.
love Yellowbird Books.
I can provide my phone number and email, perhaps in the Facebook link,
Sure,
and so that
yeah.
people can reach me that way and to order the book that way.
You could put this in the comments. Yeah.
Absolutely. I am charging $20 a book. It costs me about $17 to print them. So I'm really the other $3 that I get back is really inconsequential. It's going to go back to charity anyway. It's not about making money. It's not. It's really about putting a nice book in someone's hands.
I love that. One of our friends of the show and viewers, a wonderful local artist, Jen Ingram, says that she is collecting signed children's books for their collection at Grandma Bear's Daycare, which is this wonderful in-home daycare that she runs.
That would be my honor to have both a signed copy of each book for her. So before I leave today, I'll make sure that there's a signed copy of each, and perhaps if you can forward it on to her.
I absolutely can bring those to her. Thank you.
That would be my honor.
I'm such a sap. I'm like teary-eyed about this.
Well, it's really important. People think, I'm not going to be Dr. Seuss. Let's face it, right? I would
Good.
like to be. I would like to be that famous. But I don't think, I'd love to be Roald Dahl, but I'm just Geoff. So that's okay. We can get the message out to those people in small increments.
Well, you are a really great person, so
Thank
I'm
you.
not going to speak to the character of those authors, but
Understood.
I'll leave it at that. So what's next for you then?
Well, I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
Before I tell you what's next for me.
Yeah.
When you think of your favorite childhood books, what was the one childhood book that you picked up, you held on to, and you always return to? What's the one? You know it in your head. Tell me what it is.
I don't know if this is necessarily a children's book, but it's The Little Prince.
Okay. But it's a book you return to because of the voice of the author.
Still, yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. And so too, that's the message. Do I have like 2 seconds to tell the message?
We can go a little longer.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean to take up your time.
No, we're fine. You're here to take up my time.
Oh, good. Well, I appreciate
That's
that.
what you're here for.
Laura and I were out to dinner once, and we were opposite. We were sitting at like a Benihana. We were at Domo 77. It wasn't Benihana. It was Domo 77. We're
Okay,
sitting
so is
across,
that like a hibachi grill
yeah,
as well?
and we're sitting across Dad and his daughter, and the daughter looked very bored, and she looked kind of upset. And so we got to talking, and I brought her one of my books. And there was a mirror on the side of the wall by the hibachi, and I could see through the reflection of the mirror that she was reading the book and giggling. And to me, the whole point of having these great books is for have kids to gravitate and hold on to them and say, this was my favorite book growing up. And that's all I want. That's really all I want out of this whole endeavor. So just for me, Miss Twiggly's Tree, The Muffletumps were some of my favorite books. For those who like, those are kids' books. They're out
I'll
of
check
print.
those out.
And I have some signed original copies. These are books that are out of print.
Okay.
The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman is one of my favorites. Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by
I love
Grace
his
Lynn.
books.
also marvelous. And then for adults, I have to put a huge shout out for a Gabino Iglesias if you like bilingual books.
Okay.
And then you like if you celebrate the macabre and the dark side.
Sometimes, yeah.
Luke, I am your father. No, it's not Star Wars.
Jen said she liked the book of Hodgepodge.
Ah,
I'll have to check that out.
indeed. Okay, I will have to make a note of that. For
I
sure.
also definitely loved, now that I'm thinking about it, A Wrinkle in Time and all of
Yes.
Madeline's books, because I loved the character Meg so much, and like
Indeed.
everyone they encountered
I
in
love
that
it.
series. Oh my gosh. Yeah, yes?
So you wanted to know what's next, right?
Yeah.
What's next is my third book, which will be No Iguana for Juana,
No iguana for Juana.
which uses homonyms and alliterations.
I love alliteration.
So you're gonna love this book when it comes out. It's really cute. Everything rhymes with Anna, and that's inspired by one of my colleagues, Juana Nicasio. And so I one day was thinking to myself, well, what if Juana wanted an iguana? And she and everything rhymed with iguana after that. So it inspired a book, and so I wrote the narrative, and now I'm just waiting for an illustrator to come and take the lead and do that. So
How absolutely cool. We have a really cool gal that I interviewed a little bit ago, Laura Lynn, and she
Okay.
does Laura Lynn Arts, and she has a studio next to my church. It's on Galena,
Okay.
where she does like children's camps and classes, and I
wonderful.
don't know, maybe circle around with her and get in touch with her. She does this beautiful collage art. It's
Indeed.
just a thought.
I will definitely do that for sure. Absolutely.
Jen Ingram said she also adores alliteration. Oh, Tracy loved the Frog and Toad books. I love
Frog and
those.
Toad books. Absolutely.
Gosh.
And does anybody notice, anyone that's out there right now, do you notice about the size of this book, what it might remind you of?
Reminds me weren't Frog and Toad this size?
They were, but they're also
You
thinking
know, it's the little people.
the
books.
little people books, exactly. And so I deliberately
right.
had this size, which is, I think theirs is 5 inches by 5 inches. This
Okay.
is 6 inches by 6 inches, something along those lines. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Little People. Those were good. And then there was a Serendipity book series I also really liked. Oh my gosh.
I know, this has been so great. I got to tell you, I've really enjoyed talking to you this morning.
I have had fun as well. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming on. Let's wrap it up. And do you have any? Usually we end the show on a happy note or ask people to give a positive message, but I feel like this has all been positive messages. So.
Absolutely. I would say reflect on your life. Think about all the good things you've ever done and what are the gifts that you bring to the table. And focus on those things. And what can you give to somebody else that is part of your gift? And even if it's just your enthusiasm, maybe you know how to write, maybe you know a talent that you could teach someone, do those things. And do it with any expectation. And if you do those things, you'll find a certain intrinsic reward that is unmatched. Mm-hmm. Life is not about the things that we acquire, but the experiences that we have in life. And so experiences like this are what really makes my day.
Yeah, it's
So.
really rich. So again, thank you so much for coming on. And Aurora, thank you for watching. And good morning. And have a wonderful weekend. Today is Friday, yeah?
Use suntan
Okay.
lotion, please. Don't
Yeah,
get your head
please,
burned like me.
sun protection, sun hats. Have a wonderful weekend. I love you, and I'll see you soon.